Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. We got a comeback. It's the Jeep Patriot. You guys remember this one from, it's been a few weeks now, I think. At least a few weeks. This is the one that came in with the code for the auto shutdown relay sense circuit, or the control circuit, I think it was. And we were fiddling around with, we had the AES WaveView Activate, relay tester on there. We noticed that LED was dim on it. Long story short, when we fiddled with fuse 33, that LED got bright, and then, everything started to work. But prior to that, we had jumped the load side of that relay and could prove that the car could start and run, but the PCM had control down to the relay, but we were missing power down there. And then all of a sudden we got power, which, come to find out, must have been just a big fat coincidence, because it's broke again and it has the same problem. So we have to figure out what is actually going on and where our power loss is, because we're right back to where we started. And we're gonna do a little brief recap on that, and then we have to figure out what. If you remember correctly, there is some corrosion on the bottom of this tippomer, on the bottom of this fuse box, and we just kind of left it all alone. So let's have a look. I'm gonna give you a quick recap. So which one was in it? I think it was this one here. I have the relay out, so I set this code, I believe. But it was the 688 ASD main sense circuit. So that's the code. Of course, we got your classic pending 420, but this is what's making it not run. I drew us a diagram. Here's the relay. Okay, so this is my simplified drawing of the relay. We have pins 1 and 2. I think when we were looking before, we were using 85, 86 and standard marking, but this relay is marked 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So pins 1 and pin 2 are the control side, and pin 5 and pin 3 are the load side. So the control side turns on, little magnet, clank, clanks the switch shut. Okay, so 3 and 5 are load, 1 and 2 are control. Now, if you remember correctly, the box is way down here. I've got a relay extension for us. We're just gonna do it old school this time. We're going just test light instead of using. The LED on there was distracting to some people because as I would check it with my test light grounded, it would brighten up the LED, and they thought that was, getting connection at the time. But instead of having that distraction, we're just going super old school test light. We put the relay in here. All these pins these just give me access to pins 1 and 2. And 3 and 5 gives us access to the control side, or to the control side and to the load side. So I'm gonna stick that in there. The top down view is this, 1 and 2, 3 and 5. And I left that little view on here for me, so when we're reaching down doing the checking, everybody's on the same page and we have a diagram, and then we can figure out what the world is going on with this little guy. If I can get it plugged back in, then we'll move the camera and I'll show you guys. We'll be looking right down here and we'll carry out all the tests. Test light works. We're hooked to battery negative right now, so anything we touch that's positive should light up our test light. Theoretically, we should have 2 positives. We should have one on the load side and one on the control side. So we're just gonna go down and we're gonna touch this thing. We're gonna see if we have any lights light up. Okay, we have a light up there. And that is pin number 3. Okay, let me grab a marker. I'm just gonna make a note of that. Pin 3 is battery positive. All right, so then that must be the other, the actual load itself. So pin 3 is hot. Now 1 or 2 should also be hot, because that's where it gets its power from fuse 33. Fan relays, we got some connection there, but neither one of those have battery power. Okay, so it is a ground side switched relay. We know that because we remember that from last time. So one of the terminals, oops, let me tighten these up. One of the terminals on either 1 or 2 on the control side should have a ground signal. Okay, so anything we're hooked to battery positive, anything we touch that is negative should light up. It's probably gonna be this front pin. Yep. We can verify that. Shut the key off, McCoy. Okay, turn the key back on. Okay, so that is pin number 2. So we've identified 3 pins. That is PCM control. We'll label that PCM control. This is the one we're missing power on. And then this, number 5, is the load. So if our theory is correct, we have battery positive on the proper side of the load. You know, obviously it's not clamping it shut because we're missing our power here on pin 1. We do have control though, but our test light's still hooked to battery positive. So if we go down there and touch battery positive on pin 1, the car should start and run. So this is pin 1. I'll hold battery positive there. Okay, go ahead and start it, McCoy. Shut it off. All right, that's it. So it's 100% confirmed. We 100% know that the relay is good. The PCM has control of it. We're simply missing power on the control side at pin number 1. So it's we're very specific as far as what we know now. And this brings out a lot less confusion than when we were using the U-Activate. Okay, great. Here's what we see on power distribution. So this is fuse number 33. This is the fuse that we took out last time, and all of a sudden we regained power back down there. That fuse feeds the PCM. It feeds the data link connector. It feeds this lower bank switch, whatever that is. And then it also cuts out and comes down here, feeds the radiator fan low and high relay, the fan parallel relay, and it also comes over and feeds this main relay. So I find it kind of curious. We didn't look at this before. We never looked at power distribution. We just looked at the ASD circuit. So we didn't see what else this fed, if I remember correctly. So we can verify one thing. Without even touching that fuse, we can verify that the fuse has connection or doesn't have connection, at least coming out of pin number 9, because let's just go right to the data link connector and shove a light bulb in pin 16 and pin 4 or 5 and see if it lights a light bulb. That will tell us that the fuse has good connection, at least over to this point. I assume it has to be good because it has power to the PCM. I don't think it would run without it, unless there's more than one power source. So let's do that. Let's just verify at least the connection through the fuse without even touching it. I assume the power has to be good here because our scan tool works. We're gonna plug in Bob. Bob's an acronym for breakout box, not battery operated boyfriend. We're gonna go into the ground. This is probably not a good idea to do through this box, but it's beeping because we're dropping the voltage. But you can see that we can light a test light nice and bright, and that's 4 amps. So that tells us that our fuse has good connection, because down at that relay, we don't need 4 amps. We need about 100 milliamps. So if we can light a 4 amp test light here, we know the connection at the fuse is good. A little embarrassed. I should have done that the first time we looked at this car, but hindsight's always 20/20. Let's just review what we just learned. We learned that our fuse connection is good here, here, and here, and all the way down to the DLC. So that doesn't mean that it's good here, but we at least know what it's not. We know that I was wrong the first time, and I'm a man. That's hard for me to admit, but I would definitely 100% was wrong the first time, because this has to be good. However, it does not mean that connector 11 here is good. So the next best thing to do, I wonder where this lower switch bank is. I don't know what that is. I'm going to investigate that because I'm trying to avoid touching things right now because I don't want it to miraculously come back. If I could check power, at one of these connectors easily, that would be my next move. Otherwise, I might pull the fender liner out just to see if we can find this red wire coming into the bottom of this fan or relay assemblies, you know what I mean? So let me do investigating and see what's which direction I want to go next, because if we could get here and if we had good power here, then now we're on to something. Now we're definitely can justify going down to the bottom of the box. It's kind of dark in here because I don't have my light, but this is what they call the lower switch bank. So right down here, I just took this just pops off. No tools required. Well, a little plastic pry device. I unplugged it. It is a 8-way black connector according to service data. 3 wires. We have a LIN bus, a ground, and then in pin number 6 we have our power wire. So I'm gonna set you guys down. We'll get a test light and see if that lights that up. If you guys are still in the picture here. Let's see, I don't have my glasses, but we should be able to hit this hole. There we are, back side of that, and then we'll just touch it on ground here. And we've got a nice bright light. That's 4 amps. It's a 4 amp test light. So that can carry current, so it's pretty conclusive now. Let's see if I can plug this in without a light. That'll be the next best thing. Get this plugged back in. The release tab's over facing the passenger side, which I assume this worked because our 4-ways work and that lights up. But sometimes this kind of stuff doesn't take a lot of current to make it work. You know what I mean? So let's get the, let's pop this heater panel back on, go back at the diagram, refresh what we know, and then come up with our next step. Okay, make sure that babies still work. One of them had popped out. That's all clicked back together. Let's go see what we know now based on our tests that we've done. Now we've gotten more definitive. Oops, this is not touch screen, believe it or not. Now we know that we don't even have to open up this fuse box, because if this diagram is correct, fuse 33 has good power going out to the data link that we know. And we also now know that this pin 11 here on the bottom of that TIPM is good because it comes out to this splice SA935, and then it goes over to this lower switch bank right here, which is what we just tested. So our wire is either broke from here down to here, or it is actually corroded, or something going on. It's compromised somewheres across this relay box. And now we can justify going down to the relay box, pulling the fender liner out, and getting a look at the bottom of it. Now these are really failure prone. We've done a lot of these repairs here, but I don't recall seeing any corrosion on the bottom, or at least from the top side. I was surprised to see, I think if you remember right, when we pulled that relay out the first time, because I told you guys that these go bad, that it was quite clean. But we're definitely looking for a power loss, at least from this point down to this point. So that's good. We know that we don't have to worry about touching, touching that TIPM. So I hope this makes sense to you guys why we're doing it, how we're doing it. Because we know that last time something got touched, obviously, and then, the vehicle, fixed itself, and it's been fine for a while. So whatever it is, it, kind of worries me a little bit. So that's why we'll kind of come up with a plan like this, even though it may seem, ridiculous to you, like, why did you pop that panel off the inside? It has nothing to do with the problem out here. But if this were to fix itself all of a sudden, at least we have known data. We know where the power is, where it isn't. That way, if it happens to fix itself the next time, you know exactly where you left off and exactly where to start again. So that's that. Let's get it up in the air. We'll get this wheel off. I'll see about pulling that fender liner out and get access to that fuse panel. My next step before we start fiddling with stuff, I was going to reach down here, put a jumper wire on this, and then just hook it to a test light out here. So if we do touch something and it miraculously works, we would know. Problem is, I reached down there with my jump wire, I put it on, and I come up here and I just touched it on battery positive, just so I could hear the relay click and verify. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't hear anything going on, which tells me that it already has power on it, which tells me the vehicle likely runs. Frick! Man, I really frickin' hate cars. Well, there, we're back to square one. It starts and runs now. Son of a friggle. Well, this sucks. you know, but we didn't freaking touch anything. That's the real shitty part about this whole deal. Is whatever it is intermittent, and now it's working. But let's not get too pissed off, because we know what we know. We know that we gathered data while it was still broken. So I'm still pretty good. The only one that might be inconclusive is the test, that last test we just did inside, because at some point between popping that panel off and now, it could have, you know, healed itself. I know the vehicle's all wet. People are like, oh, maybe it only happens in the rain, but it hasn't been raining for the past couple days. And when this got dragged in the other day, it was bone dry. So, dang, you know, I'm gonna get down here again with I can look under that with a mirror, just have a look, but we're almost gonna have to wait for it to quit again, because I don't want to just go poking and hoping at this point. But I am going to give it a visual. Sometimes my sniffer can sniff out a crusty wire, but I'll let you know what I find. We might be good. I just loaded the circuit, so I'm hooked down there on pin 1. I was going to hook up a test light and start wiggling until we found the problem, or maybe got the light to flicker. So this jumper wire down there is just hooked on pin 1. That's the pin that's supposed to have power on it. And now it does not. Great. But for some reason that kicks on the other relays, which is kind of bizarre. I don't know if that's something I should be looking into or not. We know when it's good, everything's good. I'm not going to get sidetracked by that right now as to the whys that it does that. I'm going to take the relay out. We know key on. Well, we know that key on and key off, we're supposed to have power there. So I'm going to hook a test light to battery negative. I'm going to keep our pin 1 hooked down there, and then we're going to wiggle some stuff here and see if this test light lights up. What I think happened, I think we're probably dealing with corrosion because it was working, and then when I put a big load on it, the test light lit up, but then I saw it get dim, and then it went out, and then that was it. So that's a good clue. Just frustrating. I hate intermittents, but it's like just part of life, man. It's part of working on crappy old junky cars. Sometimes you get these intermittents. So let's hook this up so we have a good test, and we have something out here that visually tells us, like, oh, wait a minute, you done touched something that did its deal. So there's how we're hooked up. We're hooked up, the relay's in, and we're jumpered on 1 and 2. They're running up here through a couple banana jacks, and I've just got a test light in line, and look at that. The test light is just barely lit. Now if we pull that relay out, it'll probably light up more because there's some current being consumed across the coil. There. So that's actually dim. It might look bright on there. I'll put the relay back in, and it goes back dim. So this is going to be the same thing as looking at the LED on our AES Wave View Activate. Oh, you see that? Something just happened there. Now it went out completely. Pull that relay out. Yep, now it's super dim. Okay, so I'm going to start wiggling some wires here, and we're going to see if our test light lights up. But we're definitely dealing with voltage drop because we have a very dim light, and it's likely due to corrosion. Oh, all I did is pick up my light right there. That was leaning on. That's funny, I had that. And that's how quick it happens. You see that light up? My light was sitting here on the box. And I literally just picked it up, which was just purely coincidence. Okay, so the wires come out. They run. I suspect it's on the bottom of the fuse box here. Let's just see if. I mean, we know we're not dealing with it. it's got to be past the splice. We have to trust our information. I just want to wiggle stuff right here before we pull the fender liner out. Actually, now that I'm wiggling down here on that fuse box, we may be able to get that fuse box out and flip it upside down right here. Yeah, why don't we try that? Actually, I'm gonna leave the relay right out of it for right now. We don't need the relay to make that work. We're doing a lot of wiggling down there, and I'm not seeing anything light up. Fiddle with this harness here. I'm not seeing any green dust or anything. Everything down here kind of looks like she hasn't even been to one rodeo yet, which is odd. Usually by the time I get stuff, they're pretty well been fingered pretty good. Unfortunately, but it's kind of nice getting one that somebody hasn't really messed with much every now and then. Okay, well, just simply touching, wiggling, banging, you know, moving stuff around hasn't fixed it. As a matter of fact, I think it's gotten worse. The light is completely out. So that's good. Let me see about getting this fuse box just lifted up right here, maybe flipped around where we could find that red wire going into it. And I'm highly suspicious that's where we'll find our problem. So I've got it wiggled up here, which is kind of nice. We're gonna see about getting the bottom off from it. I just double checked that it still has no power there, which is great. And I just click that back on, which is not great. This might be a two-handed or three-handed job here. Oh, yep, okay, got it. Got-y. Well, I expected to see more green pus. I don't see any. Well, we may learn something. We may learn what it is or what it isn't. Those are the only two things we can learn at this point. That release. Let me find the release here for the other one. I just heard it click, so maybe, just maybe, negative. Come on, you piss pot. Ah, you. Let's call it better. Oh no, it's all released. It's just, must be we got to pull a little bit harder. I can see the tabs released on it. Oh, yeehaw, there we go. So that's off. That's the bottom cover. Nothing broken. Here's our jumper wire. Come on, give me something green, baby. Oh, I think I do see some green. I think there's literally one frickin' pin here that's green. No sugar. No sugar. Yep, we got one green weenie. And it is red with a purple stripe. Now our wire diagram says that it is red. But I did notice on pin 6 in that lower switch bank connector, it was red with purple stripe also. I didn't pay it much attention because the pin number was right. But the wire I'm seeing here that's crusty, no kidding, is the same color as the wire that was in there, but it's the one that jumpers. Remember, looking at the diagram, it kind of jumpered around all of the relays. I'm just going to untape this. I know you guys can't really see what's going on here probably. I need to get rid of some of this tape because I need to file that wire back just a whisker. We can probably get the pin out here, but I don't think it's going to be necessary, to be honest with you. Nope. it's not, because that is a jumper. I thought it was. I just wanted to open that up because I thought it was doing a loop-de-loop, but I wanted to see where power came into it. We got a loop, and must be power in. Get my long screwdriver I was using here. Come over here. I'll be dipped. One stinking wire. This whole fuse box is in nice shape except for that. Let me show you. That's why I didn't see it when I was looking down there with the mirror. Usually the whole bottom of these things are rotted out. Wait till you see this. Enhance. Enhance. Unenhance. There it is right there. A little bit of green crusties. It's like my finger. It's all crusty. Unenhance. And that jumps around to this relay, and from this relay to this relay. So we've got 3 jumpers there, and then this must be the main power coming into it. Sugar, we only need 1 pin. I wonder if we can get just that pin. Oh, we don't want to look at that. We want to look at this. See? Comes in as a double banger. Jumper, jumper, jumper. Does 3 hula hoops down there. But they show it being red, but it's definitely red with purple. So that's it. Yeah, we're on the right one. Pin A1 goes to 6, 11, and 21. And we're right there in the corner, so that would make sense, being that it's pin A1. Right, yep, because it's the very first pin, so I think we're on to something. Awesome. Not really. So that runs into that first relay there. Ah, no sugar. Son of a frig hole. I should have looked at that. I thought we did pull a couple relays out of this and remarked that they were clean. Dang it. So it must be one of the fan relays or something. Yeah, the whole freaking terminal is rotted off it. Shoot. Regardless, we just need 1 relay and 1 pin to fix this thing up. Technically. They're all the same part number, right? Let me just make sure you got 1, 2. I just don't want to mix them up if they're different part numbers, but no, they're all the same part number. Son of a gun. Well, we see about getting that pin out of there, and I'll see about looking at service data to see if I can find us a part number and stuff. Perhaps we can get just the 1 pin. Well, at least we have the cause. We're not worried about it coming back. Because that's always embarrassing. You're embarrassing me, Eric. Oh well, life goes on. Well, dang, folks, lunch is over. I fiddled with this before lunch. Both of those wires ended up just pulling out on me. Make sure that wire's not compromised right there. Oh, no, it was just schmutz that's on it. So there's the 2 wires there. And then I was able to finally get that sucker out of there, which there was really kind of non-existent. I just kept having to fiddle and poke, and I was spraying it with some deoxit, trying to dissolve the corrosion. That stuff was rock hard, and I just kept picking and fiddling. The downside is this relay block is part of the harness. Now, I think we might have done other videos on these in the past where we've done, relay bypasses. So I thought, we would just try to get 1 pin. But I look it up in service data. So here's your power distribution center. That's our fuse block. And we have these dreaded words right here: repair kit, part number not available. And they don't show any of the part numbers for the individual pins, which kind of sucks. Gives us our termination, who's who and which wire's which. But unfortunately, Chrysler doesn't list the part numbers. I called the Chrysler dealer just to ask, and he says the guys in their shop, when they cut them out, they used to just save the old boxes. But it looks like a trip to the salvage yard. So there's a little bit of a problem. I depinned one of the other small terminals that's similar to this one, because I thought we were missing some stuff in this box, and we are. The corrosion is so bad that it ate away the plastic. One of the plastic retainers, there's like a little tang that sticks out that retains the wire, retains the terminal in that hole. So therefore the box itself is no good. It wouldn't make sense for us to go get a pigtail, because it's not gonna stay put. I do, however, have the small female, the smaller size, crimp-on female spades, which fit, the relay on their smaller end, and they have good terminal tension. Being that the box is junk, I'm curious if we can take one of these and get it to fit up inside there. It's going to be difficult for me to record this because, well, just because I can barely see it myself. It does seem like it, yeah. Oh yeah, it wants to slip right up in there. Actually, I just slid it up in there too far. Let me see if I can get back out now. I'm wondering if we can crimp that on. Well, I'll have to worry about getting that out. If we can crimp that on, slide it up in there, as hacky as it sounds, put maybe some epoxy just on the bottom of the box to keep it from coming back out. Now we could slide it up in and hold it and put the a good relay back in there, but my fear is if somebody ever works on this thing in the future, pulls the relay out, goes to stick it in, and it pushes that pin out, well, now they're in a pickle. And I don't want to do that to somebody intentionally. So I'm going to try this. We're going to see if it works. The only other option is, get a used box, de-pin the whole thing. But I'll tell you right now, we'd be hard pressed to find one at the salvage yard that is in this good of shape. The other option you can do, and what we do on these, is we cut the wires off it and wire up external relays. But being that the box is in, primarily good shape, I think this is going to be an okay approach. If it doesn't seem to work, then we'll go to plan B. All right, well, it's in. So it's this one here, top right-hand corner. Enhance. So that's what it looks like. Unenhance. Hopefully I'm not bumping the mic here, you guys. That's what it's like from the bottom. I'm gonna give a tug on those wires. I did have to put not a lot of force, but once I scraped more corrosion out of there and made sure the whole top end of it was clean and blew it out, I was able to get that in there. But let me give a little tug on that, see how vulnerable it is. Yep, so it does pull out relatively easy. So now I can pull it out and put it in pretty easily by hand. I don't know if you guys can see that. So that's the ethical dilemma here is, snap the cover back on it, hold it on the bottom, put the relay in, put a piece of tape on it that says do not remove ever under the penalty of law. Or do we try to put a little bit of epoxy on the bottom? Boy, I don't know. The problem is if you put some plastic epoxy, that 5-minute 2-part epoxy, and that crap dries, boy, and if you got it up in that socket wrong, now we're really screwed. I say we try this. Let me make sure the corrosion's out of this pin here. I didn't realize how badly rotted that was down in there until I started picking it out. Let me just go wash this off in the sink. I think I'm going to go with plan A, or maybe it's C or D at this point. We're going to label the relay do not remove. Before we put the snap back on, I just want to see if it's plausible to hold that. Oh, it is. It slid right in. Pulls right out. But I bet if we don't hold the bottom of the wire and we just put the relay in, it'll probably push. Yeah, it pushes the terminal out. I just watched that wire come down. So we're gonna go for it. Chances are, even if we zip tied that wire pretty tight, somebody could probably get away with pulling it in and putting it out without pushing that female half down. we're gonna move on with our day. We're sticking the cover back on. We're gonna reuse 3 of the relays. I've got 1 new one coming. Kind of an expensive relay. It was almost 30 bucks, which I was kind of surprised. We're gonna use that to replace this one. We're going to put some anti-corrosive goo, aka the fluid film, up there, and we're gonna plug it up. Fluid film makes the case that their product is dielectric, non-conductive. I'm gonna stick this relay here, hold the wires on the bottom. I'm gonna keep a close look at them. Pushed right in, just lovely. We're going to spray, once we get a sprayer that works, the rest of them. We're gonna leave one of them out until we get the new one. You idiot, did you just put in the one with the bad pin? Look at this guy. You know what you need to do with that one? You need to set it over there so we don't pick that one up again. Now I just transferred a little bit of green dust that fell out of it. Bing bong, bing bong. And we'll put this one in, and that should make the car run. And then what we're gonna do is, before we put the bottom on, we're gonna spray the heck out of the bottom of that thing with fluid film to prevent future problems. And relay failures are pretty low. So hopefully he never has, that one relay go bad. I am gonna put a love note in the box here for the next person. Let's see. Let's put that on there. It should start and run now, right? Yeah, it should, technically. Stand by. Contact. All right, it starts and runs and shuts off. So, mission accomplished. We accomplished our mission. I kind of stick these wires all to the side so we can put the back on it. This guy's gonna have to get a different can of fluid film to do this job. Ooh, I felt that spray up there on my fingers. We want full douching. Through capillary action, it'll work its way up in. But just in case, we're making sure we give it a good coating. All right, well, it feels to me that we've douched the best that we can. We're gonna put our cover back on. Oh, yeah, this is the bottom cover. I was gonna say we need to label the top cover. The do not remove under the penalty of law. Okay, that cover's snapped back on. We've fogged it down good. And that one that we repaired, if you'll call it that, is one of the cooling fan relays anyways. It's not one that's gonna leave this guy walking. It's the reason it left him walking is because that's where the main power ran into it. So, where is the lid for this sucker? I just put it back down there on its bracket, and we're gonna wait for that relay to show up, which will probably be a little while. I did find my lid. I stuck it over here. I was looking for a test light. I finally found the one I was missing. So I'm gonna make a note under here about not removing the relay and stick it in there with some tape, just in case, in case it ever comes down to it or somebody starts doing the hokey pokey. In either case, if they did yank it out and put it back in and it wasn't making contact with this relay, it wouldn't make the vehicle not run. Okay, so that gives me some peace of mind and comfort. Was it the proper repair for a 2015 New York vehicle? The answer, I think, is yes, and I think it's the most economical way to do that. And I think he'll be okay because we've hopefully stopped any future problem on there by spritzing it down. So That's it. We're going to leave it at that, folks. I'm not going to make you guys wait around until the relay shows up. So that's that, folks. Hopefully we get a little bit of closure now, and I certainly feel better myself knowing that we've 100% pinpointed it and repaired it to the best of our abilities and what we have to work with. In the first video, I know there was some confusion using the U-Activate. I think we mentioned that before. You know, putting that to the side, that's why we went at it this time with just the humble test light and then our jumper pin extension there on that relay, so we could understand it a little better. We weren't being distracted by, you know, an LED. And, you know, it did get a little frustrating there when it, you know, fixed itself. I had enough current flowing through there to, you know, activate that relay. But when we had a, you know, a higher current test light on there, we could see, you know, it would knock that circuit back out, which was good. Needless to say, we found the cause of the problem, but this is how the cookie crumbles some days, folks. And we defeated it, though. In the end, that's it. So, comment section. Questions, comments, concerns, Insta, Facebook. We're all around on those places, too. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.